We would like to thank our generous underwriters, Shape Your Future, a program of the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. It is cold outside, and I know we're not doing as much outside in the garden, but it's time to start our transplants indoors. And joining me today is Dylan Jasna with Shape Your Future. And today we're demystifying how to start our transplants. I'm so excited.
I am too. I can't wait.
So tell me a little bit. Have you done this at home before? Or?
I've not done this before. This will be my second season gardening. I've always started in the garden, so I'm excited to learn about this.
Okay, so you normally just start your seeds directly in the garden? Is that what?
Yes.
Yeah. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start seeding some cool season crops. So cool season crops can go out into the garden a little bit early. So we're looking at late February into March. And so we have a selection of those. But I think a lot of times with gardeners, when they first get started, they're a little bit like, where do I start?
100%.
Get overwhelmed with the choices. So we got a couple of different options here that a lot of times when you go to the market, what you can find to start seeds. But you can use something as simple as this. If you punch holes in it, you want to make sure there's drainage to it.
Okay.
But we're going to go ahead and get started with some containers that we have here. And we've got some pre-moistened potting soil. One of the things you always want to make sure is get a seedling soil.
Okay.
So, and that's essentially so you can get those seedlings coming up. They're not having to push too hard through that potting soil.
So don't dig up my garden with topsoil.
No, absolutely not. I'm glad you mentioned that actually. So topsoil is a big no-no because it's just too heavy for these seedlings to get started. And I know that feels counterintuitive because you're like, I do it out in the garden. But there's just different chemistry and hydrology that's happening versus in a container.
Okay.
So, yep. And we pre-wet it because a lot of times there's peat moss and things like that sort of take a little while to get that moisture in there. So we're going to go ahead and start filling our containers.
Okay.
If you want to do that, I'm going to grab some of our seeds that we have here. And these are some small seeds. So sometimes tweezers or something like that come in handy. We're going to eyeball it, okay?
Love it.
A little extra seeds doesn't hurt anybody sometimes. But what I like to do is kind of fill them just up to a little below the lip.
Okay.
Because when you're adding moisture in there, you want to make sure your seeds aren't going to run off with any of that moisture. And so the other thing too is by pre-moistening this, you know you've got a good amount of soil in there because sometimes with the unmoistened soil, it's too light and fluffy and it just kind of, you'll water it and then it'll just disappear on you almost. So,
okay.
Yep. All right, I'm going to let you pick your seeds that you want. I'm going to grab that soil from you so I can do this as well. It's really that simple. And I always worry that people get discouraged with gardening. Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. So
it really doesn't.
So one of the things about, people always ask, like, what's cool season and what's warm season? And if you think about what part of the plant you're harvesting, right? So you just said kale and what was the other one?
Broccoli.
So that is the vegetation, right? The leaves and then also the flower. Whereas, and this is a very general rule, warm season crops tend to be the fruit with the seed. So tomatoes, peppers, corn, all of those things will come on later and you plant in the garden later also.
Okay, right. So these are tiny seeds.
Very tiny, aren't they?
How deep do they go?
Yeah, so just sort of flatten out your soil a little bit there. And then what you're gonna do is you can plant just one or two, however many you're comfortable with. If you kind of feel like you just want to spread a few in there, that's fine too. So you can see here what we did in this container was we spread some seeds in there. And there's a couple of ways to utilize these later on. We could grow this out, kind of have this as microgreens that we harvest, or at a certain point, we're gonna let them get a little bit larger, but we can almost take these as transplants and sort of tease them apart and separate them.
Okay.
So depending on what you're wanting to do, if you had several seeds in this packet, you could tease those apart, or if you wanted to just take this cell and pull it out and then plant it in the garden, you could do that as well. And this is a great activity with kids. I know Shape Your Future has a lot of different gardening resources as well and activities on your website.
We love for people to get outside, get their hands a little dirty, you know, and it's, for me, even as an adult, I'm still a picky eater, but if I grow it myself, I'm gonna eat it.
You're more willing to try it, aren't you?
Okay, so now you said that this was pre-wet.
Yes.
Do I need to water it again after we've planted?
Yes. So what I'm going to ask you to do before we get to that point, if you want to go ahead and label before I like that you've placed those on either side so you remember that. That's a good trick. Go ahead. We've got some labels here. And a lot of times you think I'm going to write in a pen, but pens kind of break down with UV, the ink does. So we always have found that writing with pencil actually holds up a little bit better.
That's a great tip.
Some things to put on your label is the plant name.
Okay.
And then also if there's a cultivar that you want to remember, like if you're growing multiple types of broccoli, you might want to put that on there. And then secondly, the date that you're actually planting it.
Okay.
So if you don't see anything coming up, you can be like, how long ago was it? Should it be up by now? And kind of have an idea of what you're looking at
That's
in the
smart.
timeline. So this is where we have our spray bottle. And these come in really handy, so it's worth investing in. They don't have to be expensive or anything like that. But just adding a little moisture is gonna help that seed come in contact with that soil a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. And then we want to maintain that humidity also. And so for that, what we're going to do is put some saran wrap, just plain old out of the kitchen saran wrap here. So you can do this together or you can do it separately, however it works for you. And so we're just kind of, you can use a rubber band to kind of work that under. But eventually you're going to put that in a bright light. And that's the next most important thing we want to talk about, is using what sort of proper lighting for this. And so when you place this under a light, some people might think there's enough light in a bright window, but there really isn't. Even a bright window doesn't give you enough light. So there's grow light options like this. This one's a really nice one because it'll clip to your coffee table or whatever. You want to make sure to put the light as close to the seedlings as possible because they won't have to stretch as much to get to that light.
Okay.
But if this doesn't fit your decor, I don't know what your style is, but they have simple grow lights like this that you can change out your lamp, light bulb.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, so this works really well. And in fact, this one has the exact wavelength that you need for the different stages of growth on that plant as well. So these are relatively cheap. As cheap as all light bulbs are these days, right?
And how long should you, if you use a grow light, how long should it be under that grow light on?
So try to leave it under that grow light until it's ready to go out.
Okay.
So as we kind of get closer, the plants are getting taller. Of course, they're not going to be able to stay under here, right? Because we're going to be tapping out. So another option would be to use something like a baggie to put over it, to give it a little more height, but to still keep that greenhouse effect. So you could do something like this, right? Where you're growing in a larger pot, you've got more vertical height, but you still got that high humidity dome over it. And so just keeping that moisture, that condensation, you want to make sure no algae is starting to grow because then it might be getting a little too moist. On really hot days, like anything in a greenhouse, you might have to vent it a little bit. So,
and I don't need to poke any holes in this?
I mean, later on you can if you're finding that it just stays too hot.
Okay.
But so it's really that simple to do. One thing you want to make sure you do is put some container underneath this so you're not ruining your coffee table in that process. So.
Exactly.
So what do you think about all this?
I think I can do this. I'm excited to try this in my own garden.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you take these with you and keep them in your home.
Definitely.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.